All righty. So welcome back. This is Rashauna Sky. Welcome to another interview for the Flippin' and Heels presents the prestigious Women in Real Estate Virtual Summit. And I am so excited because we have a very special guest here today, Miss Lisa Flores. Welcome, Lisa.
Thank you. Thank you, Rashauna. Glad to be here.
How's it going? How's it going?
Good. It's going
Good.
great.
Good. Well, thank you so much for agreeing to be a part of this virtual summit. Just a quick, a little bit of background. Lisa, I actually worked up under her wing when I first got started in real estate a couple of years ago when I first started out as a leasing agent. So Lisa so graciously took me under her wing, and then she moved down to from the Chicago market down to the Houston market, and she is down there just killing it. 14 years in business, and this is someone that you guys definitely can learn a thing or two from, to say the least.
Well,
so
thank
yeah,
you.
so yeah, no, thank you. So yeah, so with that being said, 14 years in business. Tell us a little bit about your journey and just how you got started.
Sure. So I originally thought of the idea of getting into real estate when I was a bank teller depositing some massive checks for real estate agents across the street from the bank that I worked at. And so when I would see them come through, I thought, wow, this would be great to one day get into real estate. And I wanted to get my degree first in business and then, patiently wait and then get my license. So I did exactly that. And from there, I joined Remax, and I was mentored by a great agent, Bruce Hackle. And so he mentored me for about 4 years. And after that, I decided to start to build my team. And so that's when I started to build my team. So it was great to have a visual of what real estate can create for my family, for myself, and for the future, even prior to getting into the business.
Oh, thank you for sharing. So how was it like being on a team and, starting out on a team? Because a lot of people don't. A lot of people just, start out and they're kind of out there on their own. So how has, starting out on a team impacted your career, and then what that means today for your business?
Yes, and I will say this, when I originally started out, I did try to do it on my own for probably about, I'd say, 2 to 3 years. And it was a challenge, trying to learn everything on my own. And, we had a good broker owner. It's just, a lot of what you learn in real estate is through trial and error, or having a great mentor to advise you on how to handle things, how to handle, a buyer changing their mind at the last minute, or a seller deciding not to sell at the last minute. And so, just the advice of someone that's been in the business a long time really helped my business, triple. So that's something that I decided to do. I think it's always a great idea to start on a team first. I'm a huge believer in, learn from the best and then go from there and grow from there. So I definitely was able to just learn so many different skills and sales strategies being under someone like my mentor. So I think it's always great. It's great to do that. Some people are a bit discouraged by it sometimes because they feel like they may be, possibly earning less, or possibly, limited on what they could do. But when you look at it overall, I think it's the best option for folks, because real estate, you do learn through trial and error most of the time. And sometimes people don't learn for, decades. So.
Mm-hmm. No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. So, so I want to switch gears for a bit. So thanks so much for sharing that. So as I mentioned in the beginning, left the Chicago market a couple of years ago and moved all the way to Texas, and your business has just been on fire ever since. So share with us a little bit about that, because some people may be discouraged, or say their family's moving, or, they have to move for, whatever family reasons, and they may get discouraged about moving into a new market, right? So how would you say, getting business in a new market, what does that look like?
That's a great question. So what does that look like? It looks like a lot of time, energy, being extremely positive, that's for sure, from the get-go. So, I trained with Mike Ferry, the Mike Ferry organization, and I did that for about a decade, as well as, being with my mentor. And so what Mike Ferry teaches is they pretty much teach you, get out there, look for the business every single day, and have a goal and speak to X amount of people every day. And so that's what I did as soon as I moved out here. And, I compare myself to like a brain surgeon, right? So, if you take someone that, is a doctor, a brain surgeon that does surgery every week on someone, or maybe 5 times a week, you take them and you move them from Illinois to Arizona or Texas, they're doing the same thing. It's just in a different place. And so that's where, I really compare myself to the same thing. I'm selling real estate in Illinois, just take those skills and strategies and just do the same thing in a different state. So I just, that's what I believe, and that's what I did. And I was able to double my income the first year that I was here, not knowing anyone. So it was just my husband and my son and myself, and we moved here to Texas, Houston, Texas, and it's been great ever since. So.
Okay, nice. So you mentioned something as far as, training and working with the coach and working with the mentor. How has that helped shape your business? I mean, I can imagine it's expensive, obviously, but we do know it's an investment. So how has that shaped, your business? What are your thoughts on hiring a coach? At what stage should people hire a coach? What's the reasonable amount to spend? I just threw like 5 questions out there. So however you want to answer that.
Okay. So when I first got, or even prior to me even getting my license, someone going through the drive-thru at the bank had suggested that I get into some kind of coaching program when going into real estate. And so off the bat, that was a piece of advice that someone had given me. And I just took it and ran with it ever since. So, being an agent 14 years, I always have had a coach or a mentor or both. And so I do definitely believe that it's critical to help people, whether it's in business or, even having a trainer, a fitness trainer, a personal development coach, Tony Robbins. I also follow Tony as well. And so he teaches a lot of different strategies on personal development. So as far as cost, I mean, it definitely, it costs money. And at the same time, when you look at your ROI, return on investment, you can see that, you may be paying a coach $1,000 a month to coach you, but you're making $10,000 a month from that coaching. So that's always important to look at is, obviously, is this coaching going to take my business to the next level? How much is it? I'm going to go ahead and budget for it and then go from there. So I think it's definitely critical to get into a coaching program. And there's so many different coaching programs out there. It just depends on which one really suits your personality and which one do you believe will work best for you. After you do decide to sign up for the coaching, it's also very critical to be coachable. So a lot of folks sometimes will say, I want to hire a coach, and then they hire that coach with the expectation that, they really don't need to do anything. They just need to pay for the coaching and have a coach, and then their business is going to triple. And so it's so critical to always listen to your coach, take their advice, implement what it is that they're telling you to do. That's why you're paying them.
All right. Absolutely. 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 So I want to touch on for a quick second. So, you mentioned moving to a new market, having not known anyone, and being able to double your income. So, not only was that your hustle and your grind, but what would you say helped really set you apart from, the other agents that were already down there and had established a brand and a business and people were familiar with them? What do you think was it that you were doing different that really, helped you have such a successful year that you had?
That first year, you're asking?
Yeah, the first year, or even altogether, in your business as it is today. Mm-hmm.
Well, I would say definitely the first year was the hustle and grind. That's really, it as a whole. And so being
Mhm.
willing to work, the long hours that, I would need to work in order to have the success that I want. And that's one thing that, having a coach, that's what they tell you. They tell you the truth, not what, they think you want to hear. So they'll tell you, Lisa, in order to make six figures based on you being in a new market, you have to work 10 to 12 hours a day. And so embracing that
What?
idea
You mean to tell me you're
realistically.
not working? You mean to tell me you're not working 3 hours a day and that's it? No, that's
No, yeah,
no.
right, exactly. Yeah, so, loving what you do, I think that's also absolutely critical, right? And so, people could, work hard but not enjoy what they do. So, and I think that makes
Mhm.
a big difference as well, because to be able to endure the amount of stress and energy and time that you put into it, you have to love what you do. And I remember hearing um, Steve Jobs mentioned that, being an entrepreneur, people think that it's, an easy job. You can just, run your own business, but you really have to love what you do in order to put the time that you need to put into it.
Right. Absolutely. No, you're absolutely right. I wanted to also ask, now I know, because I know you personally, that you do spend a lot of time prospecting, making calls for business, or you may go out and door knock. And, nowadays, a lot of agents, aren't doing that anymore. And so I definitely wanted to, ask you about that, kind of what a typical day in the life of the Lisa Marie Group, what does that look like? And again, how that, because I know you're very consistent at what you do as far as, keeping to your calendar. So how has that, shaped your success?
I really attribute it shaping my success so much. I mean, having a schedule, I think, is absolutely critical. Unfortunately, some people get into the business, kind of thinking that they can, set their own hours and have a lot of freedom, when I've realized and embraced the idea of the more disciplined I am with my schedule, the more I can accomplish, not only business wise, but also personal. So, putting it in the schedule, okay, when am I going to, have time with my girlfriends, or, the dates that I go on with my husband. So different things like that. But I think it's absolutely critical to have that schedule, and it's a pretty strict schedule, but, at the same time, it helps me accomplish the goals that I want to do. So,
Hmm. Yeah, good. So
mhm.
what does a typical day look like for you?
Yeah, so a typical day looks like me getting into the office. I log in and I connect with my friends in four different places around the world: Canada, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and California. And so we get on the phone, and it's a Google Hangout, meeting. And so we literally are all calling different sources in our own market. And so it's a kind of like a support system. And, last year was my best year ever in business. And so I contribute being part of that group. So we get on the phone to make our phone calls from 8:30 until 11. Then after that, I look at any emails, follow up with my assistant, kind of run through things. I have a quick lunch. I'm not a big eater, so sometimes it's about a 15, 20-minute lunch break, and then jump back into either making more phone calls, negotiating contracts. I do have it in my calendar from 1 to 2 o'clock. I speak with clients and I negotiate and do any kind of presentations as far as contracts. So we do have that set in the schedule. And then our appointments, typically my appointments are either 3, 6, or 7 o'clock. And that's our goal, is to get me on as many appointments as possible. When I say get me on, I'm not the only one that's making the calls. I also have, an inside sales rep and then other agents making calls. And we're able to set those appointments up for me, or for them as well.
Yeah. That's really good. And so you alluded, that you're not the only one making the call. So, currently, as far as your team, you've obviously been on a team. You've learned a lot from that, and you've built your own team. So, what does that look like as far as the individuals that you currently have on your team?
Yeah, so right now I have my awesome husband, Dave. So he's an agent on the team and he's the office manager. So he helps
Love
manage
it.
everyone on the team. Yeah, yeah. So
Houses, selling
him,
houses.
that's right. That's right, exactly. And then I have a transaction coordinator. So she processes all the deals that we put together. Then we have Mel, he is the ISA, and so he makes the phone calls for me. And, we kind of connect on different leads. Then I have Marcy, and she puts the paperwork together for any listing appointments that I may have, and other additional paperwork. We're also looking for another assistant to be in the office and kind of be our go-to person for anything that we may need. So from adding people into the database, or just updating information that we need to have updated.
Yeah, no, I love it, because so many people get into this business thinking that they can do it all on their own. And, starting out is maybe good to, learn all of what goes into your business. But eventually, in order to really grow, you're going to have to scale, and you're going to feel comfortable with trusting individuals to, write your contract, or trusting them to schedule an appointment, or to make a phone call, or whatever the case. And I love that about you, that, you're able to, get coached and be coachable. And then in turn, you can, grow and pour that into your team. So I love that a lot.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you. And then I didn't mention, but, I also have great people like the title company that I work with, Fidelity National Title. They do a phenomenal job. And then, the loan officer that I work with. So I've got a great financial advisor that I connect with, and a great real estate attorney. So, it's other folks as well that we stay connected with and lean on, and vice versa.
Good. So with that being said, as far as having a great team and great business relationships, what about, personal relationships and surrounding yourself around highly successful people? What does that look like? Sometimes we may have to walk away from some relationships so, we can grow into some better ones. So what does that, what does that look like? Because I know you definitely pride yourself in hanging around with successful people, and that's one of the things I admire about you. You're not hanging around people who just complaining all day.
That's right. That is so right, Rashauna. There is just no time or energy for that. And so, I think it's absolutely critical that people surround themselves around people that are uplifting them and speaking life into them, people that they can, pray with, and just, really enjoy being around. And so Dave and I definitely focus on folks that really, have good relationships, either with their spouses or with other people and with ourselves. And so we pride ourselves on that. We think it's so critical to be around folks that, really enjoy living life, because life is short, and you have to really value and appreciate every moment that you have. So we do really work hard on making sure that our circle is tight and the people are who we want to be around, and vice versa.
Good. And so, so obviously that's the goal that you guys have, is to, make sure you keep those individuals in your life. What do your goals look like, I guess, on a day-to-day basis, or monthly or yearly? How are you setting your goals, and, just how important is that, when you want to win in business?
When I want to win in business, well, goodness, I'm pretty focused when it comes to goals, as far as setting daily goals, weekly goals, monthly goals, quarterly goals, and yearly goals. And I think it's so important because, unfortunately, time does get away from us. And so setting those goals all the time and really staying laser focused on them, avoiding any kind of distractions. I think sometimes we can allow things to take us away from our goals. And so I think that's so important. And part of what I found is an easier way to do that is to surround the people that are either doing more than you, or doing, more than you, I should just say. So our goal for 2018 is to sell 100 homes. And so the friends that we continue to encounter with and hang out with is the people that are selling over 100 homes, and what are they doing? And so we've just been focused on that, and then also taking time for ourselves and our personal goals. So we have 4 weeks of vacation scheduled this year, so we're really excited about that. We think it's really important to try to find that balance as well, as difficult as it may be sometimes, between running a business and then also, taking time for yourself and just removing yourself from, the whole hustle and grind, right?
Right, absolutely. And I want to speak to as well. So, in relation to setting goals and making sure you meet those goals, I think there is definitely a certain level of professionalism that you display that I admire. I
Oh,
think
thank you.
obviously by this point you guys can just tell I'm just like just so in awe with Lisa. I love everything she's got going on. But with that being said, I've heard you, on the phone talking to your clients and caring for them. I see the way you show up to your showings. You're showing up dressed a certain way every time, and then you're always making it to your closing. So, I guess just what does that look like, and pretty much, what does that mean to you? Because again, it's 2018. A lot of the things that were done in real estate before, some people have gotten away from. For example, I do know people who don't go to their closings at all, or I do know people who, are showing up in shorts and flip flops to show a house. So, I want you to, just expound on that a little bit.
So I would definitely say that I am more conservative and traditional when it comes to business practices and the standards that we have on the team. From the men wearing ties and buttoned up collared shirts to the females wearing dresses or pantsuits and having their nails done. So I think it's definitely critical to have that professional image for sure. And so we even have a dress code at our office, Rashauna. A lot of people don't have that, but we do have a dress code, and we believe that we are a reflection. My assistant's a reflection of me, and so it's just critical to have those standards in place. And as far as going to the closing, I think that's the best time to celebrate. So why not? Why wouldn't anyone go to that one last final celebration? And that's at the closing. So I believe in going to all of our closings. Some people, may choose not to, and that's the best part of being an entrepreneur and being in real estate is you can structure your business the way you want to, and no one has to dictate or tell you you have to do it a particular way when it comes to things like that. Now, of course, there's ethics and rules and all of that, but when it comes to structuring your business the way you want, you do have the freedom to do that. And so there's some people that choose to do different things, and we always show up with a bouquet of flowers for the family as well, and other gifts as well. So that's the time of celebration. The biggest, it's the biggest purchase typically people will have and do, and this is their biggest asset. So why not?
Right. Love it. Love it. Okay. So, we are actually nearing the end shortly. But just a few questions that I wanted to ask you. So, if you were to start the business all over, knowing what you know now, what would you do differently?
I would love on my people more. Something in Illinois that I didn't do, unfortunately, is I didn't really show the appreciation or the love that I had for my clients. And part of it was just kind of, I was in this, laser focused business mindset. And so when I moved to Texas, I said, I'm going to do things different. I'm going to love on my folks. I'm going to show them that I do appreciate them and that I do value their business. And so we're always sending out thank you notes saying, thank you so much for your business. Thank you for your time, for meeting with us. And thank you for referring, so-and-so to us. So we really want to come from a place of contribution and appreciation. And that's really something that I would definitely do different for sure.
Oh, wow. Okay. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. And so as you are talking to, new agents, so a lot of our listeners for the summit are new agents. What advice would you give them, or what would you share with them as new agents?
As new agents, well, you definitely want to have a mentor or a coach or both. But I definitely recommend you have a mentor, you have a coach, you have someone to go to really advise you on how to build a business. And then I would also recommend to put together a CRM, have a CRM, a database management program, and keep your folks in there, and definitely keep in contact with them on a quarterly basis, whether they're, someone that you've already closed with, or even, just friends and family, people that you may go to church with, or, people that from your circle. You want to stay in contact with them.
Oh, yeah, that's good. I'm over here. I'm writing it down. I'm taking notes. So you want to have a CRM, have a database management system, and you're touching your people quarterly. So what are you sending out quarterly? Is it just, I don't know, happy spring? I don't know. What are you saying?
Yeah, so we actually send out a monthly newsletter, and it has all of the listings that we have that are active, that are pending, and that we sold. And then it's also a market update. And so what we are going to start doing next week is we're going to start doing videos, and just touching base with our clients, saying, hi, we wanted to update you about the market, let you know, and let us know if there's anything that you need from us. So we do send out that monthly email, and then we also follow up with them for different events. We have different client appreciation events and different things that we do for our clients. So we're constantly staying in contact, but even if you do it once a quarter, I think sometimes people fail to really touch their folks and really get back in contact with them. And so sometimes we'll send out an annual calendar. And, I think it's really important to really be, keeping in contact with them.
So. Oh, yeah, no, that's great. So an annual calendar. So what does that look like? Are you sending out like a physical calendar? Are you sending out, a desk calendar? What does that look like?
Yeah, we're sending out it's a refrigerator calendar. And so it's just for the whole year. So that's something that we send out to our entire database. We also send out football schedules. So, during football season before that starts. We
that's
send
cool.
out, in my subdivision, we send out an events calendar. And so the events calendar just went out. And so we sent out every event that we're going to have in Fieldstone. And so we think it's important. Not everyone is on Facebook. And so we want to make sure that people are able to see what events are coming up, like St. Patrick's Day event and different events like that. So, and it's branded, it has our logo and our name and all our information. So, when they do speak to someone, that they know that they can call us and let us know, that they have a friend or a family member looking to buy.
Right. So yes, I imagine with doing all of those follow-ups, I think that's great because, you're right there on the fridge. As soon as they open the fridge, or as soon as they have a friend or family member, I think it's great because you're able to stay top of mind, right? Because they're always seeing your email come through, even if they don't open it. They saw it and they saw the tagline and they know it's from you. So I imagine you get a lot of referrals from that. So how much of your business would you say, comes from referrals?
I would say 50% of our business comes from referrals.
Mm-hmm.
And we're continuing to grow that as time goes on. Being in Texas now, going on our 4th year, we're still somewhat new. So we want to get to 80% of our business comes from referrals. That's our
nice. Nice. Okay, good.
And then the other sources, real quick too, Rashauna, just so folks know if they're interested in pursuing expired listings. So people that didn't sell, they came off the market. We call them every day. Also for sale by owners, people that are trying to sell their home themselves, we'll call them. Just listed, just sold. We'll call around listings that we take and let people know about the homes that we have for sale. We've been able to connect with folks and help them buy and sell homes that way as well.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up because there are so many people who do not, I guess you can say cold calling has taken on, a negative connotation over the years because, you get so many telemarketing calls and scam calls and, all those types of calls. But you're doing, essentially what you are doing is cold calling. But I know that has helped grow your business. So, explain to us about that. Like, how do you overcome challenges? Because I'm sure you probably get people who say, don't call me again or whatever the case, and you just hang up and move on to the next. So, tell us a little bit about that.
So I would first say it all starts with coming from a place of contribution. So,
Okay.
sometimes people, when they get on the phone, they're a bit nervous, and, they have their own opinions about themselves and about receiving a cold call. And so I don't know if you've ever received a call from someone that said, there's a great opportunity. I'd like to talk with you about it. And you may listen. And so I always start off with, I'm going to come from a place of contribution, nothing
Mhm.
else. So,
Okay.
if someone says to me, I'm actually unemployed right now, Lisa, and I'm looking for a job, and I've had that happen numerous times over the phone, or, can you pray for me? And we literally pray for them over the phone. I've had folks say, my mom is having some issues, and, this, that, and another, and we've talked to them at length. So I come from a place of wanting to help them, not only in real estate, if they have any kind of need, like, they're asking for prayer, I'll go ahead and pray for them. So I think that's so important. So that is, again, removing yourself from it and coming from a
Yeah.
place of contribution. That's number one. So once you get into
Mhm.
that place, you pick up the phone, you just start dialing, and you go through the motions of stumbling over your words. You go through the motions of, not knowing how to handle this objection, or not knowing how to handle this response, whatever the case is, right? And so you go through it, and then before you know it, time goes on, you become an expert, and you're making those phone calls, and you're enjoying them, and you're just having fun with them. And you really take the, I'm going to take it personal attitude. You take that out of the equation, right? Because obviously, if someone's having a bad day, and if they yell at you, then they're just having a bad day, and you just happen to call
Right.
them. And
Right.
so, that happens, but you've got to move on and keep going, and have that, mindset. Focus on your goals, have your dream board in front of you, have pictures of things that you want to obtain, places you want to go, things you want to do for folks. That's another thing. My husband and I, were very generous folks. And so when it comes to getting on the phone and being rejected, we're rejected. Yeah, absolutely. But at the same time, when we know that this is going to help us and help those folks, be able to obtain this, then it erases all of that, call reluctance.
Yeah. No, good. Thank you. Thanks so much for sharing that.
Yeah, you're
Because
welcome.
that's something that, again, like I said, a lot of people are afraid of, but I think it's great that you said, remove um what your perception is about it. Remove that out the
Yes.
way, because, and you go into it, like you said, truly wanting to help an individual, and then the goal is, to get the appointment. I mean, the goal is to get business, but the goal is also to help a person, because obviously
Yes.
the last situation that they were in, someone was trying to help them and it didn't work out. So that's how they got on there as far as an expired listing. And so what would you say, like, a percentage of your business, like what would you say that percentage is expired listings versus for sale by owners? Like, which ones do you have more success with?
I just happen to have more success with expired listings. Now, I have friends that have a lot of success with for sale by owners. And at the end of the
Mm-hmm.
day, it really just comes down to, at the end of the day, your mindset. That's it. And so I remember a coach had said that to me. He started to, this is kind of interesting analogy, but he asked me if I spoke Spanish, and I said, no, I don't speak Spanish. And, does your husband speak Spanish? And I said, no. And, my husband's Hispanic. And he said, the mindset that you have towards the for sale by owners, that they all want to, you know, uh, save money and be mean, is the same mindset that someone would have about yourself, and ask, do you speak Spanish, or does your husband? And so, point being is it's all a mindset, and it's 80% mindset, 20% mechanics. And so when people are struggling, and the entrepreneurs are out there, real estate agents getting new, and they're new in the business, getting in the business, and they think, gosh, how am I going to be able to do this? It's all a mindset. So really keeping that mindset strong, I think, is
Right.
absolutely critical. And so we want to keep that
Right.
in mind. Mm-hmm.
Great. Now that's good. That's good. And you mentioned, as far as, we already talked about setting goals, but you mentioned that you have your dream board, your vision board, right in front of you when you're punching out those calls. So I think
Right.
I think it's great that you mentioned that, so that people have that reminder as they're going through their day to day, or having a hard time. Maybe they got hung up on, 10 times back to back, right? So, to
Right.
have those things that remind you of that. So yeah, no, I really appreciate you sharing that with us. So I think that pretty much wraps up the interview. Unless, I don't know, did you have anything else? One last tip or tidbit that you want to share with agents trying to take their business to the next level, or new agents trying to break into the business?
I would definitely say there's so many different opportunities out there for folks to learn. So whether you're on YouTube or, different podcasts, I think it's so important to continue learning, at least spend 30 minutes to an hour a day learning something new, implementing something new, and really expanding your mindset. So I think that's absolutely critical. I think unfortunately sometimes people, they get distracted and there's other things that come up, but it's really benefited me, and I think it's so critical that we keep that in mind. Continue to learn every single day.
Absolutely. Yeah. What are either your favorite podcasts to listen to, or either who are your favorite people to watch on YouTube?
Okay. So I would say Tom Ferry. So I've moved from listening to Mike Ferry to Tom Ferry, which is his son. And so I've been listening to his audios. I'd say Dave Ramsey. I'm a Dave Ramsey rep, which means that, Dave Ramsey's company sends me people to help represent. And so I would say Dave Ramsey's station. There is, what is that? Is it Gold Coast? They've got a lot of great videos. I listen to a lot of motivational videos with Denzel or Will Smith. Those are awesome. And then I throw in some humor. Gary Vee. Yep, Gary Vee is also really great. And then I throw in some humor with Steve Harvey, and just kind of, jumping on YouTube in the evening, just bringing some humor into everything. But Gary Vee, he's also good. And then Grant Cardone, he's an awesome.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Okay. All righty. Well, thank you so much, Miss Lisa, for joining us and giving us the information, the tips, all of the knowledge. So thank you. You're 14 years in business, and you've created success. Like you said, you had, one of your best years in business last year. And, we definitely wish you much continued success. I know you're going to sell 100 houses this year, girl. So I love it. I look forward so much to seeing that success. So thank you again so much. And I will chat.
You're welcome. I was going to say too, Rashauna, if anyone happens to know of anyone looking to buy or sell real estate, definitely keep me in mind in the Houston market, Richmond, Katy, Texas. We'd love to be of service to them.
Absolutely. Love it. Okay. Thanks so much.
All right. You're welcome. Thank you. Bye.